there's a guy running for governor in Virginia. His name is Robert McDonnell. He is the Republican nominee. And he went to Regent University. Now, that is a Christian right university. And in fact, their motto is Christian leadership to change the world. So they're not hiding it. Well, it turns out that as he was campaigning, he mentioned that he had written a thesis as a graduate student at Regent University on welfare. So the Washington Post went back and read it, just to see what it was, over 90 pages long. And it outlined 15 things that he wanted to do, 10 of which is in his political career he has gone on to lobby for and fight for. So let's find out what's in his thesis. Well, here are some of the things he said. Working women and feminists are detrimental to the family. Working women and feminists detrimental to the family. All right, and then he said government policy should favor married couples over cohabitators, homosexuals, or fornicators. Now, if you're a fornicator out there, you're in some trouble if McDonnell's the governor of Virginia. I thought, though, that Virginia is for lovers, so I'm a little torn on how this thing's going to work itself out. He described as illogical, this is amazing, a 1972 Supreme Court decision legalizing the use of contraception by unmarried couples. So he is saying that unmarried couples should not be allowed to use contraception. That is so beyond insane. I can't imagine. Okay, now, look, you're saying, well, when did he write this? Or that's the first thought I had. Did he write it in 1955? Well, obviously not, because of the 72 decision. So I honestly thought he must have written it in 73 or 74. He's an old school dude, right? No, he wrote it in 1989, when he was at the age of 34. So it's not like he's a 19-year-old college student writing something back in 73. No, 89 is only 20 years ago, and he was 34. He was a grown-ass man. Now, he didn't stop there. He went on to say that leaders must correct the conventional folklore about the separation of church and state. Now, if you think that the separation of church and state is just folklore, then I guess you're going to want to vote for Bob McDonnell in Virginia and make sure that church and state are combined in the great state of Virginia. All right, now he also said, if that wasn't enough, that in the public schools they should, quote, teach traditional Judeo-Christian values. So if you don't subscribe to those values, if you weren't born into those religions or you don't happen to believe those religions, sad day for you if he becomes Governor McDonnell, because he thinks we should teach Judeo-Christian values. He went on to say, of course, that feminism is among the real, quote, real enemies of the traditional family. And obviously, of course, McDonnell also does not believe in abortion in cases of rape or incest. That position is so extreme that the incredibly conservative George Allen, former governor and senator from Virginia, has said, whoa, I wouldn't go that far. Okay, so now when you ask McDonnell about this, he goes, oh, come on, that was 20 years ago. No, well, I won't say that I don't believe it. So you're like, wait a minute now, which one is it? Now, on some of them, he flat out denies, meaning not that he didn't write it, he wrote it, but he's since changed his position. He says, look, my wife works, my daughter works, and I've hired 5 different people when I was Attorney General of Virginia that were women. Am I not merciful? Am I not merciful? I hired 5 women. They all work. All right, look, I'm going to give that one to him. Okay, I can make fun of him all day long, but obviously he's changed his mind to some degree on that, right? But he has not changed his mind on abortion. He says yes, no exceptions in case of rape or incest. If he says to me that he's changed his mind on teaching Judeo-Christian values or the separation of church and state, I would be surprised. He has not said that. He's purposely vague about it. And he's purposely vague about just about everything else except for the whole idea of women working inside the workplace. He's finally caught up to the rest of the country on that. On homosexuals, he's a little unclear again. He got a judge in Virginia, basically, he campaigned against her and made sure that she did not get a job because he claims because she was sexually harassing another woman that worked for her, right? And she was lesbian. Now, if that was the case, well, that's a very fair case to bring against her. But it turns out, of course, that she was never convicted of any of that. It was never a civil lawsuit, never any evidence of it. And in fact, during that case, he told colleagues that a homosexual is not really equipped to be a judge. Now, he says, oh, no, that was misquoted. Kind of qualified, but not exactly qualified. Okay, so now he's got Republicans asking questions. This is the no-win situation that Republicans are in. His people underneath them are saying, look, for example, Delegate Robert Marshall from Prince William, who's a Republican, says, if you duck something, that tells your opponents that you think your position is a liability. Why else wouldn't you acknowledge it? But I tell you, I've got precinct captains who are annoyed that he's not answering these questions. So you got Democrats and independents worried to death that this guy's a lunatic, right? I mean, honestly, this whole thing with, not separating church and state, contraception should not be allowed for people who are not married. I mean, that's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? And on the other hand, he's got the right wing pissed off that he's not saying, hell yeah! Okay, we merge church and state, and it becomes the great Church of Virginia, right? And they're pissed that he's got precinct captains who are mad at him. But you got to give Marshall, who said that quote, a little bit of credit. He's right. You must think that your positions are a liability. That's why you're running away from them. So give us a clear record. Are you in favor of these things or are you against them, right? And he's purposely being vague. I get it. He's a politician. But the people of Virginia have a right to know. What did he change his mind on? What did he not change his mind on? And if you're in Virginia and he's not clear on this and you vote for him, well, then you had it coming, I guess. Okay, so just remember not just Regent's motto, okay, and not just the fact that he wanted to get all these 15 principles into government according to his own thesis, his original plan. When he was 34, he wrote this. I will get into government and try to change all these laws. And he's already tried on 10 out of the 15 points in his thesis. But also remember your state motto. Virginia is for lovers.